Greetings and salutations, my Geldlings. Coalspire here once again with a demonic trip into the world of the geek. This is not going to be just a normal podcast. No, this is going to be a game review podcast. Now, I won't be doing a new game because the newest game I have is still Dragon Age Inquisition, which is still an amazing game, and I'm on my second playthrough. No, I'm going to be talking about an older game from the PS2 era because it is a game I have and haven't seen a lot of reviews for it. And when it came out, it was a very rare game. I haven't seen it anywhere able to be purchased besides at pawn shops, and they woefully underprice it. It's one of the few rare games that I own, and I'm happy to say that the game is an addicting game, almost as addicting as Dragon Age. Um, what is this game, you may be asking? Well, it is a JRPG turn-based strategy game. That was a mouthful, I know. The game is Disgaea, Hour of Darkness. The story is simplistic enough. After a 1,000-year nap, our hero Laharl is awakened by his loyal vassal Etna. It is then discovered that Laharl's father, King Krachevskoy, has died, not by an assassination or through war while he was sleeping for 1,000 years. No, he choked on his favorite snack food, black pretzels. Laharl is then tasked with becoming the overlord of the underworld and taking up the title from his father. That's the type of humor you can expect from this game. At times it's very tongue-in-cheek, and other times it is slapped across your face with a dead mackerel. The laughs go from breaking the fourth wall to changing the name of an early game boss name to mid-boss, in story and game-wise as well, to an angel assassin doing her own sound effects as she sneaks around the Overlord's castle. The humor is lighthearted and only really starts to dwindle near the end of the game where it starts to get quite serious. But I do want to point out why the jokes work. This game is voice acted perfectly, and the delivery from the voice actors really sell the dialogue and make even the over-the-top anime-esque script believable. The life that is breathed into these characters from the amazing cast makes the 2D and small 3D images shine. The game is broken up in different acts, and each act is ended with a narrated cutscene by the character Etna. Think of these like episode previews in anime. They're really fun and, again, breathe life into the game after completing a really hard boss battle. And, unfortunately, usually have nothing to do with what's going on in the next act. It's just something funny that happens, and it keeps you entertained. This brings us to the graphical testament of this game. Now, Disgaea isn't the most beautiful game, and compared to the full mocapped games like Uncharted, or the graphical achievements of the newer consoles, Disgaea falls quite short. It really is the only thing to complain about, though. The cutscenes, which there are a few, take place on the actual board that the level takes place on. And the character models do have some added effects and motions to add to the scene, but where this game triumphs is in the 2D images. Detailed and stylized cartoon portraits show the emotion of the scene much better than their smaller 3D counterparts. But aside from the cutscenes, the animations of the attacks, magic, special abilities, and even hit motions are smooth. Gameplay is your typical turn-based strategy game. You have a central hub that your team comes from. They have a certain area they can move through and a limit to how far they can go. But the nuances are within the special moves and magic. Each character, which there are as many as you want to make, have a regular attack and the ability to use items and even block for a turn. Yet the special moves and magical abilities are the heart and soul of this game. Each new ability levels up with each time you use it and grows stronger as the character levels up. The downside comes in when you realize that the old adage, if you don't use it, you lose it, really hits home. If you don't continue to level up the abilities and spells, they will not have the same impact when you reach the higher difficulties. The best thing I can suggest is pick a few that you like and continually use those. Make them a lot stronger, and in the same aspect, the enemies will fall for it. Are there a lot to choose from regarding special abilities and magical attacks? Yes. And with each new level, there is an opportunity for your main characters to learn a character-specific move. These are some of the most powerful in the game and usually have a good number of target boxes. Magic works similarly, but when the spell levels up, it adds the number of targets you can hit and a different pattern as well. Starting off as one target, moving up to a solid 3x3 block, and even a figure 8. And with the spells come different levels of those. Fire has 3 different additional levels, as does ice and wind and star and things like that. And the last one is called Omega whatever it is, which in essence is a summoning spell of sorts. Did I mention that the damage is limitless? You heard that right. I mean, I know there is a program number that the damage will not surpass. There has to be. This can't be an unlimited number. This isn't pi. But it's a lot higher than I've ever been able to do. I have seen footage of damage in the millions. Now, there's a reason why. There really is no level cap either. Most games cap at 99 or even 255. Not Disgaea. Oh no, the initial level cap, and I'm putting that in quotes, is 9,999. Yeah, you heard that right. 9,999 is the highest level you can have displayed. And display is a key word. You can actually surpass that level when you get into the mechanics of the game, which I will get into shortly. There are 2 shops, one for items and one for weapons and armor. A hospital to heal your fallen party members, and an item world, which I'll get into later, and a dark senate that you can use to unlock new character classes, stronger items, and enemies, and secret side quests, as well as make new team members. The Senate is the place that puts this game above all else. Within, you choose a character to address the Demon Senate and can bribe them with items to curb them to your favor and then have them vote on what you want to do. The harder things to get, the more likely the whole Senate will be against you. Now, if the Senate votes against you, there's this really neat mechanic. You can fight the Senate. Now, that's not as easy as it sounds, because a lot of the Senate characters are up in the thousands of levels. 2,000, 3,000, 5,000. There's a trick that you can do that works every single time if your characters can survive it. And what you do, which is an awesome mechanic, is you combine the creatures. Now, what I mean by combine is if there is a higher level creature, because each creature shows their creature level when you highlight them, is thrown or has a monster thrown into them, they absorb that creature's levels and stay the same, but their levels are now raised. So if you take a level 1 creature and throw it into a level 2 creature, the level 2 creature will still be there, but it is now a level 3, and so on and so forth. So what you want to do is you find the highest senator that is in favor of you. And what you do then is there's an option to pick up creatures, and you can then throw them away from you. So you find an enemy senator that is a lower level than your highest level senator, and you throw that enemy into them. The higher level senator will remain higher and remain in your favor and will not attack you. You continue to do this until all of the senators have been eaten up by that one creature, which is now a mega monster, and ta-da, you win whatever that you wanted to have voted on. Which is really awesome and sometimes needed for some of the things that you want to do. Now, within the Senate is where you create your other characters and monsters that you have, monsters that you want to have in your party. Monsters that you have defeated before become selectable classes, and humanoid characters can be created as well. Things like a ninja, a samurai, a geomancer, red mage, blue mage, cat girls, succubi, and dragons are respectively all creatures that can be made. Now, each one starts off at a base level, so you have fighters that level up as you level up your fighter. You have ninjas that level up into other types and can branch off into new types. What this does is take... Oh, I'm sorry. But the most important thing you can do is transmogrify your characters. What this does is take your level 100 Laharl back down to level 1. But he keeps his base stats and abilities. That means that he is technically a level 100 character, but levels up like a brand new character just created. So this can be done as many times as you want, and in essence, you can eventually max out all of the base stats of any character if you are so inclined to do so. It will take a while, but it's doable. Added to the gameplay of Disgaea Hour of Darkness is a place called the Item World, and it is exactly as it sounds. You take an item to the Demon Gatekeeper of the Item World, and you go inside it. You deal with whole worlds within the item of different enemies, shifting colored tiles, and powered up item generals. Each item has 100 levels to traverse, and every 10 levels you can leave and see how strong your item has become. Now, starting off at level 1 in the item world, the enemies are relatively easy. They're level 1, 2, 3 enemies. The farthest I have gotten into an item world is level 45, and I have over 1,000 hours of gameplay on this game. The enemies become extremely hard, and there are different things that can happen. You can have pirates come in and invade your item world, and you have to defeat them as well as the other enemies. There are good enemies in the items that you can defeat in order to get a specialization on your weapon or a better power-up. There are hidden rooms and hidden things that can happen. The item world is very, very varied and amazing. And if you're an experience whore and you love leveling up and or you're really late in the game and you have a level 1 character that you want to get higher, that you just created, you want to get higher up, jump into an item world. Use those, because there are tiles that show up called invincibility, and you put your level 1 character on the invincibility tile, and all the enemies who are relatively smart with their AI will attack your lowest level characters or the most vulnerable. So while he's on the immortal or invulnerability tile, they can wail away at him all you want, and he doesn't die. It's really an interesting thing, and what you get is you line up your characters next to him that are stronger, and you get a team attack, and if he team attacks with them, they both share the experience, so he can level up as well. There are different rarities to items as well, so the rarer items, when you level them up, become a lot stronger. Now, I could spend hours talking about how many things there are to do in this game, but I want to move on to other things. The music in this game is awesome. There's hard rock theme and power ballads, as well as some seriously touching moments that are made all that much more dramatic by the score playing behind it. It keeps an excited tempo during the stages, and the boss music is perfect. It gears you up to keep playing and see what possibly could be happening next. So let's see. I've talked about gameplay, I've talked about graphics, music, story, and voice acting. So let's talk about replayability, which I know is a big thing. Now, I'm sure you know about Chrono Trigger's 26 different endings, and there are games that have good endings and bad endings depending on how you did through the game. Disgaea has multiple endings as well, and I believe there are about 7 to 9 of them. I've seen 3 of them: the good ending, the bad ending, and the normal ending. The other endings actually have goals that must be achieved in order for them to be seen. The best ending is one of the hardest ones to get, and I'll explain that in a second. One goal is not losing a single character through the entire game, besides the ones that are forced to die in the tutorial, and that's how you get the best ending. That's really hard to do, but there's a bonus. Another ending is having you kill off 50 plus of your own characters before a certain act happens. There's tons of replay value in this game. And with the new game plus mechanic, which is how you can accomplish that goal of not losing any of your characters, you can continue off with your powered up weapons and armor from ground zero to accomplish all the tasks you missed the first time around. And there are many. Using the Senate, you can unlock bonus levels and bonus bosses. The final boss of the game isn't even the hardest boss in the game. The hardest enemy in the game is only found by unlocking a hidden area and traveling through the side quests, and I do mean all of the side quests of the area, and the added ones on top of it, or else you won't be able to find him, which some have their own storylines to go with them. I can't say any more about this game or how amazing I believe it is, and it really surprises me that there are people out there who've never heard of it. Disgaea Hour of Darkness was released to not a lot of fervor, but has spawned 5 Final Fantasy-esque sequels and 1 direct sequel to the original game. When I do meet someone who has heard of and has played Disgaea, it is always the same thing. Stories about how broken you got one of your characters, the jokes, love for Etna, and overall love for the game itself. Look, if you are looking for an in-depth story with really involved gameplay and a serious tone, buy the new Tomb Raider. But if you are looking for a fun and addicting game that has personality, and that I have personally clocked in over 1,000 hours on, look no further. Disgaea Hour of Darkness is what you're looking for. This game is for experience grinders, people who are completionists, and people who enjoy a good JRPG. In the world of overhyped AAA titles that have 5-hour main campaigns and games that come with day one DLC packs, Disgaea is a breath of fresh air. Be it stagnant from being PS2 era, it may be an older game and it may lack a little in the graphics department, but you get your money's worth and then some. If you have a PS3 or a PS4 or even an old PS2 that is still live and kicking, go try and find Disgaea Hour of Darkness. I do believe it is still on the PlayStation Network store, the PlayStation Store, along with its sequels. They are worth picking up. You get the same experience, except they started to evolve and get better at what they were already solidified as a great game. So, Disgaea Hour of Darkness gets a 9 out of 10 from me here at Help for the Guildless, and a strong, strong, strong recommendation to go check it out. This game will entertain you to no ends. Please give it a chance. And that will do it for me, my guildlings. I promised you a game review, and here it is. I know it's a little late, and I also know that it's not a brand new game. But this is a game, if you pick it up and you're an RP fan, you will enjoy. If you like this podcast, please like, subscribe, and share the video. You can follow me on Facebook at facebook.com/helpfortheguildless, or follow me on Twitter at ColeSpire. Once again, I am Cole Spire, and have a good night, everybody.